Hi, Sam here. I'm back with another video today, and so on hand I have the iPhone 6 Plus, the iPhone 6, and just the empty box for the iPhone 5s because I'm using it to make the video right now. So as you can see, Apple has decided not to write the number next to the iPhone, so now they just call it iPhone instead of iPhone 6, 6 Plus, etc. And also, as you can see right here, Apple has decided not to print any of the images on the boxes and just left them blank. I'm not exactly sure what the reason for that is, but that's just what they chose to do. So I'm going to officially open the iPhone 6. I'm just going to quickly unwrap the iPhone 6 Plus as well. So here we go, we have the two devices. And as you can see, I'll turn it around. I'm not going to be like that kid on video that dropped the iPhone. So I'll do it nice and slow. There we go. So the 6 is the gold one, and the 6 Plus is a white silver one. Now I don't have an iPhone 5s that I could use for a comparison, just to show you guys how this iPhone looks in front of the 5s. But as you can see, they have the iPad mini, iPad Air design on them. Okay, that's kind of weird in the Apple logo. I hope that's just part of the plastic on the 6 Plus. But here you have it. The iPhone 6 feels really solid in hands. So does the iPhone 6 Plus, but it's a little bit big. Now I'm 6'2", so you'd have to see how tall you are and how big your hands are to see how comfortably you would be with the iPhone 6 Plus as compared to iPhone 6. I think most people would want to go for the iPhone 6. At least when I was in line at the Apple store, majority of the people were buying the 6 just because they said it was more comfortable to hold. And from quick observation, what I saw was most of the people that had Note or the Samsung Galaxy S4 or 5 were the ones that were opting for the iPhone 6 Plus. Now, if you're buying the 6 Plus, I would not recommend going for the 16 gigabytes just because it's a big device, and I'm sure you're going to use it for more than just listening to songs off of online. I'm sure you're going to have some movies, music that you'd want to store on the phone, so definitely go for the 64 gigabytes rather than the 16. So I'm just going to quickly power on the devices to give you guys first look. I'm sure there's a lot of other videos out there, but this is definitely my first video with the iPhone 6 and the 6 Plus. Now these are the T-Mobile models. I bought them at full price. They're not on any kind of contract or EIP plan or any of the finance plans that have the like AT&T, T-Mobile, or Verizon or Sprint offer. So these ones are factory unlocked. And okay, you know what? I'll be right back. I just got to quickly activate both of the devices with my SIM card, and that requires me to plug it into the computer, so I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back with the iPhone 6 and the 6 Plus activated. I ended up just activating them with the SIM cards that came in from the Apple store, and briefly tested both phones with like a mobile SIM card just to confirm the unlock status. And just as expected, because I paid full price for them, they are factory unlocked. I did not have to do anything additional to get them to accept the Leica mobile SIM card. Now, looking at the physical changes that Apple has made, one of them is that Apple has definitely decreased the size, the width of the devices significantly, and also relocated the power button to the right side of the device. As you can see on both of them, It's right here. Now on the iPhone 6, to be honest, they don't really need to relocate it because most people will be able to access the iPhone 6 power button up here should it have been still on the top. But I suppose for the convenience they have moved it over on that device as well. Now the 6 Plus on the other hand, it was absolutely necessary for them to move the power button to the side because as you can see, when holding the device, one would have to shift around just to turn it on. So you can hold it with the right hand and comfortably turn the device on and off. And you could also do it with the left hand by using your index finger. On the iPhone 6, you can see I can hold it, and even if it was on top, I'd be able to do it much like I do with my iPhone 5S in both hands. Same concept applies to this device as well. And I suppose they changed the power button to the right side just for the convenience of having it on both devices on the side. And now I want to talk about the corners of the iPhone 6 and the 6 Plus. I think Apple has done an amazing job with making the devices round edged rather than sharp edges, like the iPhone 4, 4S, 5, 5S, which had sharp edges. And for me, I had to use a case on both of all the devices, the 4, 4S, 5, and 5S, because I found it extremely uncomfortable to use the devices without a case. When last year the 5C came out, I really loved the curved design, but really, I didn't want to buy it because I wanted an upgrade in hardware rather than a rewrapped iPhone 5. So this year with the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus, we finally got that. And if we look at the back of the devices, what you see here is a little bit of protruding camera. There you go. And there you go on the iPhone 6 Plus. And initially, a lot of people said that it would bother them, but to be honest, majority of the people do use cases on their devices. So when you have a case on either of the phones, it would just make the rear of the device more flushed out. And as you can see here, when I have the iPhone 6 and the 6 Plus on their respective boxes, there's not much play. The only time you would see there's play in the flat surface of the devices when you have it on a table. But to be honest, how often do we really have the devices on the table and we're doing things on it? Most of the time, the devices are in our hands when sending emails, text messages, etc. So I don't think it's that big of a deal that the camera is protruding outwards a little bit. Alright, so that's the physical differences on the or the physical changes that Apple has made on the iPhone 6 and the 6 Plus. Now, talking about the features and the specs of the device, so the screen on iPhone 6 is a 4.7 inch and iPhone 6 Plus is a 5.5 inch. The iPhone 6, the 4.7 inch, is a LED backlit IPS display and it's 1334 by 750. And you wouldn't be able to see much of it in this video, but when you see the device in person, you will see that the 326 pixels per inch on this iPhone 6 is the exact same as the ones, or the pixel density is the exact same as it was on the 5, 5C, 5S, 4, and the 4S. So everything still looks amazingly sharp on the iPhone 6, despite remaining at 326 pixels per inch. The 6 Plus, on the other hand, has 5.5 inch screen with 1920 by 1080p display. So this is a 1080p full HD display and it has 401 pixels per inch, and the screen is very sharp if you see it in person again, and there is a noticeable difference which should be there to begin with because the pixel density on the iPhone 6 Plus is a lot higher than the one on the 6. Now, if you're coming from an Android phone, we can say that the iPhone 6 is more in size and in comparison with the Nexus 5, HTC One. I would say both of them, the M7 and the M8, and also the Moto G and the Moto X. Whereas in the iPhone 6 Plus, I would say in comparison, it's closer to or similar to in size with the LG G3, Moto X, the second generation that was just released recently, the Note 3, and the Note 4. Although the iPhone 6 Plus 5.5 inches is a similar in screen size, and compared to the Note 4, the screen is a little bit smaller, but the bezel size on top makes the iPhone 5, sorry, I apologize, the iPhone 6 Plus a little bit taller than the Note. As you know, the Samsung's bezel is a lot smaller on top and bottom. So while activating the devices, I noticed this cool feature that is found under Settings, Display, and then you click on, Settings, Display, and Brightness. Let me just refocus. And then you could go to View, and this is the standard view right here, what you see. So this is the standard view. And if you change it to zoomed view, it basically zooms in on the screen a little bit and makes the icons a little bit bigger, perhaps a little bit more easier to reach, and with one-handed use. Now, once again, with the iPhone 6, you will not have issues using it in one hand. It will work perfectly, no matter your hand size. You will not have any struggle with it. If you do have any little bit struggle, just use the zoom mode, and I think that will solve your problem. As for the iPhone 6 Plus, the standard is the screen. The icon size is great, but I like the zoomed better. And the drawback of the zoom mode is that you are not able to rotate the screen. So right now we could do this much like you can on the iPad, but when you have the zoom mode on, which I'm going to change it to right now to show you guys, takes just a couple seconds. There we go. And now all the icons are a little bit larger, perhaps a little bit easier to reach and use, but now you cannot do the orientation to the landscape mode. So you have to keep it like this, which is fine too. I mean, it's not a big deal, but if you're doing something that requires you to rotate over, then you just have to switch over, which only takes a few seconds. And I just want to add that unlike with smaller devices where you can reach both ends of the screen with just one hand, with the iPhone 6 Plus, much like me, you will quickly learn to simply shift the device around in your hand like so. And it makes it easier to use the more you do it. Like when I first got the iPhone 6 Plus this afternoon, I thought it was too big, and I didn't think I would be able to enjoy it and actually make a use of it. But I've been playing around with it for the past little bit, and all I can say is definitely something that I'd want to use for a long time. Next is the CPU and the GPU. So Apple has a custom designed A8 chip in this device, but both of them have identical specs when it comes to CPU and GPU. They both use the same CPU and the GPU. So it's the A8 custom designed dual core with 1 gig of RAM. I know there was a lot of rumors that the iPhone 6 Plus has 2 gigs of RAM, but I fixed it, did a teardown, and they have confirmed that the iPhone 6 Plus only has 1 gig of RAM. So once again, both iPhone 6 and the 6 Plus are identical in hardware-wise, and Apple states that the CPU on both of them is 20% faster than the iPhone 5S, while the GPU is 50% faster than the iPhone 5S. Another great thing that Apple has improved on, which was much needed, is the battery life. Now, I'm sure most of you are on the same boat as I am, but I have to charge my iPhone 5S, even 5, at least twice a day because I am a heavy user. And I think even medium users or people with medium usage also suffer from the same thing due to the smaller battery life. So Apple has increased the battery in the iPhone 6 to the 1810 milliamp hours, and it provides up to 14 hours of talk time on 3G, 10 hours of internet usage on 3G and LTE, and 11 hours on Wi-Fi. The 6 Plus, on the other hand, has a 2,915 milliamp hours battery, and it offers 24 hours of talk time on 3G, which I think is great because a lot of times I do end up using 3G when I'm trying to reserve the battery on my iPhone 5S. And this one provides 12 hours of usage on 3G, LTE, and Wi-Fi. In comparison to the iPhone 5S, the 5S only offered 8 hours of talk time on 3G. So when you go from iPhone 5S to the 6 Plus, you're gaining a whole day's worth of use pretty much. Because not everybody stays awake 24 hours, right? And 10 hours on LTE and Wi-Fi of internet usage on the 5S. So that's, you're getting 2 hours, which probably wouldn't be a whole lot of usage. But I think when you consider mixed usage, you'll probably be able to squeeze out a little bit more, as I don't think anybody really sits on their device and does continuous 12 hours usage of just internet. The next thing is the camera. The camera on the iPhone 5S in comparison is also an 8 megapixel. So all three, since the 5, 5C, 5S, 6, and the 6 Plus, they all have the 8 megapixel camera. However, over time, Apple has improved the sensors in the units to allow us to take better pictures. And with the iPhone 6, they have added the something called focus pixels, which basically allows the iPhone to focus near instantly on a new object or when you move it around. And especially on the iPhone 6 Plus, which has the optical image stabilization. And optical image stabilization is usually found on premium cameras such as DSLRs. And because it's in the iPhone 6 Plus, I think that a lot of photographers like myself, I don't really take that many photos, but when I take photos, I'm very picky about, the light and where I'm focusing on the picture. So I think for that reason, a lot of people, just for the camera alone, will pick the 6 Plus over the 6. The next thing is connections. So now the iPhone 6 and the 6 Plus both support 802.11 AC Wi-Fi standard, Bluetooth LE, which has been in all the iPhones since the 4S, and NFC. Both of the iPhone 6 and the 6 Plus have NFC. However, as you know, Apple, they have limited the NFC to just Apple Pay. And this probably will last for the first year, much like the Touch ID did, as they have opened up the APIs for Touch ID so that more app developers can take advantage of it to allow us access to apps faster rather than having to type in passwords. Sensors, Apple has added barometer in the iPhone 6 and the 6 Plus. Communication wise, Apple has added voice over LTE, VoLTE, as they said on the keynote, and also Wi-Fi calling, T-Mobile Wi-Fi calling. Now this is going to be a significant improvement for T-Mobile customers, because to be honest, I cannot stress enough how much T-Mobile's coverage sucks indoors. So when you're indoors with T-Mobile, a lot of times, like when I use T-Mobile, a lot of times I'm stuck on edge or no service at all, while everybody on AT&T has coverage. So now, thanks to Wi-Fi being available just about everywhere, we will be able to take more advantage of that Wi-Fi calling and have all the calls and texts routed even in places where there is no T-Mobile signal. So as long as Wi-Fi is there, and at times, if there's no Wi-Fi, at least you could use somebody else's hotspot that's willing to let you share, that is, and still access your text messages and data. And I wouldn't recommend that you use somebody's data so much, but say you're with your brother, sister, family member, friend, and you're in a spot where you want to make sure that you're able to get your text messages and just check your emails. At least with Wi-Fi calling, now you'll be able to do that and even take occasional calls. And T-Mobile, for that Wi-Fi calling, is offering their customized router. So if you have that, it will provide you with HD voice calling while you're within your home and anywhere else where the T-Mobile Wi-Fi routers are installed. So if you have a house and you're thinking of buying a new router and you have T-Mobile service, then why not just get the T-Mobile router, because it'll just help you improve your coverage even while you're at home. Besides that, I think that's about it when it comes to features and new connection things. Another thing I want to add is that Apple has added these beautiful wallpapers, the stills. Sadly, they didn't add any new dynamic wallpapers, but the still wallpaper, they have added these flowers, and they look gorgeous on this new 1080p HD screen, and even on the iPhone 6 they look really nice. Okay, there we go. It's kind of hard to tell the difference in the screen quality on a video, but if you want to check it out, just head over to your local Apple store or even any of the other electronic stores like Walmart. Maybe not Walmart because they always encase their devices, but Best Buy would be another good place to check out your iPhone, just to try it out. And besides that, I would say maybe Future Shop. Now, one of the most important questions that is out there is that should you upgrade to the iPhone 6 or the 6 Plus? And to be honest, if you're going from the iPhone 5S to the 6, besides the battery, if you're not having any battery concerns with the 5S, then going to the 6 is not really worth the upgrade. You're better off just waiting for the 6S to come out next year and upgrade to that. For me personally, I'm only upgrading because I'm a heavy user and I tend to use my phone a lot more than the average person, I would say. So, and as Samsung calls it, I'm a wall hugger, and I have to be around the outlet at least minimum 2 times a day to charge my iPhone 5S. And for that reason alone, for me, it's worth upgrading. And I'm not upgrading to the iPhone 6. I'm going to be upgrading to the iPhone 6 Plus. And the main reason behind that is the battery life. So for those of you coming from the iPhone 5, if you can hold out, then I would advise to do so. But coming from an iPhone 5S, going to a 6, not that much worth it. You're better off putting that money to better use or waiting for the iPhone 6S and 6S Plus to come out next year. But if you're on iPhone 5 and older, I think it would be anything older than iPhone 5, it would be a good idea to upgrade, because the iPhone 6 has lots to offer for those customers and for those people. And even iPhone 5, you know what, I could say iPhone 5 is also another device that could be upgraded to the iPhone 6 as it is 2 years old. But once again, 5S to 6, not really worth it. 5S to 6 Plus, yes, it's a really good upgrade, because you're going from 4 inches to 1.5 inches in screen size, double the battery life, better camera with the most amount of features, which is the image stabilization, and also the NFC. So that's about it, guys. I hope you liked my review. I'm sorry it's kind of long. And I think that's all I wanted to cover in this review. I'll be making some videos on how to set up your iPhone, and also how to set up your iPhone on Wind Mobile for the Canadian customers, because I personally use Wind Mobile as well. And it's important that you set it up correctly so that you have everything working, including iMessage and FaceTime. I'll try to deactivate my iMessage because the service is not working again. So we should be able to reactivate the iMessage on screen so that you know how to do it too. And also I'll be making a video on how to use T-Mobile Wi-Fi calling. So check out my videos, they'll be coming soon. Once again, thank you for watching my video. I hope you liked it, and if you have any questions or comments, let me know. So please rate, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you next time.